Semalam ni lah. Tengah hari dah pergi lah. Tapi kau apa?
Tapi tak dengar.
Oh, sorry.
Alah. Masuk malam.
Tapi,
Tu malam ah.
kami pergi.
Ha?
Saya nak pergi kat kapal terbang.
Saturday ah.
Kita hari kemana?
Tu aku tak tahu. Apa. Itu kat bawah. Tapi pukul 3 petang.
Petang.
So we've covered the first half of the year 2022, and now we're looking towards the future, the second half of 2022, and game releases. Now, here's a roundup of 20 games. Keep in mind that release dates are always subject to change, especially lately. We always see delays, and we could still also get some surprise game announcements. But for now, let's get started off with number 20. Evil West is a game where I just gotta throw objectivity out of the window. This is exactly what I want, just a video game as hell video game, and I mean that as a compliment. This is a kind of sci-fi western third-person shooter action game. It's just a linear adventure that, like a superhero cowboy man. You deal with a 6-shooter and you're blowing away bad guys, specifically vampires. Yes, the Wild West has been taken over by hordes of vampires, and it's up to you to use your 6-shooters, but also this cool lightning fist gauntlet to like punch them. It just looks ridiculous and fun and gory, and just what the doctor ordered. Reminds us of something from the 2000s, the 2010s, and we're really looking forward to it. It's releasing on all the major consoles September 20th, 2022. 19, we have High on Life. This is the Justin Roiland Squanch Games' newest game. So if you're into Rick and Morty and that style of humor and wackiness, right up your alley. This is a sci-fi first-person shooter where the different guns all have different alien personalities. And I'm not gonna lie, it just looks like a ton of fun. It seems talented comedians and voice actors behind a lot of the roles. And it just looks like a breath of fresh air, something different. You know, Squanch Games for the longest time now has been pumping out. They did some cool VR stuff, but now they're getting their hand at a full, seemingly pretty big budget game. It looks ambitious and it looks funny, most importantly. October 5th, 2022 for PC and Xbox. Next, over at number 18, we have The Lord of the Rings Gollum. Now, this is a game specifically Gollum creeping around Middle-earth doing sketchy things. It's not necessarily based on the movie. If you could tell by the art style, they're going for a little bit of a different look for the character. Just around you making decisions as Gollum or Smeagol, you know, the voices in his head, but also trying to mostly avoid combat because he's pretty weak through stealth. It's not often a solid stealth game anymore, just truly dedicated to it, so we're curious to see how this pans out. He seems pretty nimble, he can get around the environments pretty pretty quickly, but the jury's still out on the quality. We've seen some gameplay trailers that don't look so hot, but we can't help but just like Lord of the Rings and weird, strange Lord of the Rings games that show us a different side of Middle. Keeping our eye on it. It releases September 1st, 2022 for all the major consoles. Now, next over at number 17, we have Stray. Yes, that's the best way to describe it. Stray essentially is like a third-person cat adventure game where you're a lone cat stuck in a seemingly abandoned dystopia, but there are robots living there. You adventure through as this cat with a little drone friend you met, climbing, exploring, solving puzzles, running from danger, interacting with the locals, and actually cat stuff, like scratching on a wall or knocking stuff over, just kind of being a jerk. I mean, no disrespect to cats, I really like them, and I'm looking forward to playing this. We've talked about we'll move on, but Stray is releasing for PlayStations and PC on July 19th. Next over at number 16, we have Marvel's Midnight Suns. This is a Marvel game, and it's going for some darker material, but also teaming up some really cool characters like Wolverine and Ghost Rider and Doctor Strange to take on a new enemy, and it's in a top-down XCOM style, what this studio really specializes in. There's sort of a card system in terms of choosing your moves and your attacks, and I think the gameplay can just make for some really challenging spots, you know, if you're into XCOM or any type of strategy game like this. I'm really hoping they nail it, but I'm just looking forward to the story and really seeing these characters in their full glory again. All in the same game, I'm in. As of right now, Marvel's Midnight Suns is releasing October 7th for all the major consoles. Next over at number 15, we have Skull and Bones. This is Ubisoft's long dormant, finally resurfacing this year and finally releasing, and what it is a pirate adventure game. You make your own pirate captain, you wander around ports, you customize, you loot, you sell, you trade, you hop in your ship, command your crew, and go on adventures and engage in naval combat. You're doing it either a campaign or with a group of friends, which is where probably a lot of the fun is going to be had. If you've played anything like Sea of Thieves, you know manning a ship with a bunch of blast. This is a little bit of a different spin on things compared to Sea of Thieves, and I'm curious to see how it pans out. We'll know in the fall when it releases November 8th for all the major. Next over at number 14, we have Splatoon 3. It's incredibly awesome to see this franchise return once again with new competitive modes, seemingly a big player adventure, and of course, lots of creativity. The multiplayer in Splatoon games can get incredibly addictive, and I'm really curious to see how they're going to expand upon it. Still waiting to hear a lot more for this, but we know this holiday season we're definitely going to be playing it on Nintendo Switch because it releases September 9th. Next over at number Saints Row. Yes, Saints Row has been completely rebooted. They dropped the numbers and now it's Saints Row. You build up your own new criminal from the ground character creator and you are set loose on a new kind of deserty Las Vegas type city. At first I was a little skeptical and curious to see if they would actually retain some of the easiness that they really set up with some of the last games, but nope, it seems like all the insane hijinks are going to ensue. You can glide around the city, you could explode helicopters out of cars and run around in your underwear. That's really all I've really cared about with Saints Row games. I just hope they keep it super dumb and super fun. Hopefully it doesn't feel lifeless. We'll have to judge it when we get our August 23rd, 2022 for all the major consoles. Next over at number 12, we have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. These games are following up Pokemon like a more traditional Pokemon game, but in this new